It's about that time again where we take a look at what's making the rounds in the sports dailies to find out what's got people talking right about now. We have our guest in the studio who joins us live, talking about Yomi Kuku, who is a football administrator. Yomi, nice to have you.
Yeah. How are you today?
Oh, we're doing good.
Maybe you Bluetooth knuckle to.
Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go.
I'll jump on
Okay. All right.
Good to have you, Yomi.
Yeah, thank
So much to talk about. What's got you talking, Yomi?
The first one that I think Olise gets first victory, which like a screamer, you know.
Okay, that's from Complete Sports.
Exactly. After 90 minutes, people were already trying to analyze, you know, whether he's been doing what they expect of him. But after another 90 minutes, now this gets everyone talking. Olise gets first victory as Ahmed Musa, Moses Simon, Berry, Mena, the Nigerian team. Yeah.
Now we can afford to use that word, bury.
But
2-0 is enough to bury a team.
Impressed.
Yeah, Yomi is sounding like, why is it a screamer?
Well, the screamer is that, you know, now you can see that Nigeria happens to be like, we're building a new team. We have a new Pep Guardiola of Africa handling the Nigerian team, right? Is that not? You know, and it's got everyone talking like, okay, Olise is just back from the classroom to the field, you know, from the class to the pitch. And then you have, okay, that's not 3 points. Anyway, still 2 goals. So that's all.
And a better performance from what you saw.
Yeah, much better, certainly, because even when you look at the outcome of the game itself.
Even the scoreline.
Yeah, the scoreline. And I'll tell you something, when you're trying to build a new team, you really don't have to go after the big teams to be able to prove a point.
Yeah.
You need to start from the scratch. They could actually be playing even football teams, like amateur teams, just to perfect their strategies, because some of those things you do during training, you come play them in the games. I don't know whether you were able to watch the game between Mauritania and South Africa. Those goals were just training routines, and they perfected that in the match situation. So I think they've really done that very well. They don't really have to play Niger next time. They could play like Sunshine Stars. They could play, they could play Ikorodu United.
When you hear teams like Cameroon being lined up, does it fit the bill?
Well, it depends on where your team is. What level are we? The level at which we are right now is that we are right there on the ground. We shouldn't get too unduly arrogant about this. The truth is that Nigeria is nowhere in football in Africa. We're struggling. You know, we've lost a lot. We're right behind countries like even Cape Verde, you know. And so when you look at all this, you need to just come to yourself and ask yourself, what are you trying to pursue? Do you want an immediate result, or you want something to come back in the future? And from the understanding of what the NFF president has been saying, from what he's been postulating in the media and everywhere, is that he's trying to bring a new team forward. And so to do that, you need to start from the scratch. And this was exactly the way Clemens Vesterhoff started those days. We were playing Feyenoord reserve teams. We were playing against Ajax reserve teams. He took them to a training program in Papendal. But again, you also needed to understand that during those periods, we had most of our players playing at home. And those playing professional football, they were always crossing the border from Belgium, France, and wherever, and then crossing on to Holland to play them. So I think it's still a good deal anyway. And then you can begin to judge him when he hasn't played much games. You know, I mean, I'll tell you personally. No, let's not talk about my personal opinion about the appointment now. We're past that now.
We've gone past that.
I understand where you're coming, but let's just stay with Complete Sports and look at that up there. It says Nigeria, Ghana rekindle rivalry. Talking about the African games as under 23 Eagles battle Black Metros today.
In all Africa games, well, for me, the under 23 game is actually something for us to develop on and move on to greater things. You know, when you have a team which is more like a reserve national team playing like under 23, what is most important for you is not to win, is for you to bring up a culture of winning, the mentality to be able to withstand some certain pressures and then doing well when you get to the national team. Sometimes you see the way Nigerians clamor for wins every time, by all means necessary, and this is the reason that we keep going back and forth. We take one step forward and then we take 50 backwards again.
Wow.
We 50? Need to just, we take 50 every time we do this.
I thought you were going to say 10 or 15.
I was thinking 2.
You must be nice to say 10. Or even, you must be very nice.
But you're involved in grassroots football. We should start asking, what are guys like you doing to to stop this going back all the time?
Well, it all depends. If they seek your expertise, you are able to go in there. If they allow you to work, you want to go in there and do it. But if that is not happening, then you need to find a way to be able to contribute something to the society. And that's the reason people like us, we hold on to it. That this is what we believe in. We'll keep doing it until somebody somewhere one day says, oh, this guy is doing something. Let's call him and seek his expertise. Until that, well, there's nothing I can do beyond just talking on channels and then, you know, giving out my ideas to people.
Okay, let's go to Sporting Live.
Yeah.
And of
Do I have
course,
that with me here? I have only
all right, I'll just, it's going to be on the screen. It's on the
That's
screen.
That's it.
Well, the lead story, Olise's riot act. No ego is irreplaceable. How do you respond to that when you hear the coach?
Well, the coach, he need not say that. You know, you have your own master plan. Part of the thing is that you have to ginger your team to be able to play well. Tell them you have confidence in them. And you don't tell the player that he's not replaceable. You know, you don't have to say that. There are certain things you don't mention in the public. You know, you just say things that would inspire them to be able. You just tell them that, listen, you must be proud to be a Nigerian. You must be proud to wear the national colors. We have a country of 150 million people, and if you're called upon, if you're the chosen one, I'm telling you, it's a perfect. It's your special. It's a privilege. It's not a right. You know, and once you're doing it, you need to do it for the country, for the motherland.
There's a follow-up to that. It just came to my mind while you're responding. You know, sometimes coaches will come out and say, they put those words in my mouth. I didn't actually say that. And, you know, and what role do you think the media should play? Because an average fan on the street does not know some of the things you know.
Yes,
and grabs a copy of the paper, and, you know, reads it, and hears the coach say, I didn't say that. How do you?
Well, for the media, they're doing their own business. Olise is doing his own business. He needs to guide against being misinterpreted or being misquoted or the misperceptions about people thinking about his tenure and whatever he says every time. So you can't stop the media from wanting to sell their papers or their media organization the way they want to sell it. You know, they give up screamers. You could say something like, well, I like my team. They played very well. We were playing 45 minutes, but then in the second half, and they say, oh, Coach lampoons team. Well, the coach never said that. The reason they're using that word lampoon is because they want to actually sell their media organization. So that is allowed. You can't fault that. That happens everywhere in the world. So it's not left for the coach to be able to manage those processes, you know, put in a very strong PR team.
What does that do to the expectation of the fan?
The fan. Always allow the fans to think about what they want to think. You can't stop them. You see, I can only control what I can control. I can't control your mind. You have a perception about me. Some people have a perception about who I am. As they're watching me like, oh, this guy is always critical. I can't change it. Oh, this guy, I like him. He talks well. You can't change it. You just have to do what you're doing, believe, and then find means to be able to continue doing what you're doing with a lot of diligence and honesty. Once you put that in, at the end of the day, even when you leave, when they appraise your team, there's a possibility that some people will remember that you did things, you know, with genuine hearts, and then they're not thinking you were doing it for selfish purposes.
All right, let's move over now to Sports Day. I have one here on the top corner with a picture of Ogenyo Nazi. Who is, what shall I say, on a leave right now from the Super Eagles. But they have something here that says Ogenyo Nazi's 300,000 euro pay ranks lowest. With the rider there, Lazio midfielders among worst paid in Serie A. Joel Obi gets 500,000 euros. A certain Mbakugu has 380,000 euros. That's on page 4.
Well, that has to come like that. It's always been, it's historical. There was a time we had Finidi George.
Quality.
We had Finidi George Kanouankwo, you know, getting peanuts, playing for Ajax, you know, winning the Champions League in Europe and all that. But I tell you, there's a tradition for this simply because of the way we are and the way we project ourselves. Every time you're projecting your brand as being bad with problems, beset by problems and certain things, it reduces the value naturally. So, and part of the thing is that the media here in Nigeria somehow does not have an agenda which is of common national interest. And if you don't pursue that, you know, it becomes a problem for you. For instance, I tell you something, look at English players. A lot of them are just a little above average. But when Wayne Rooney scores a goal, you hear the commentator says, oh, what a perfect night. He's changed, you know, he keeps saying so many nice things. And then when they come asking for Wayne Rooney to be transferred, they say, oh, you bring 50 million pounds. And you say, what does he play? You know, and you keep wondering. So it's the way you put up your brand. And that is the same reason every time the media goes on TV, you're busy talking about foreign leagues, they're taking excerpts, they're taking notes of all the statistics every time you mention them, and they put it before the sponsors. And when they want to sign another contract, they tell them, in Nigeria, a country of 150 million people, they talked about Chelsea 5 million times in a week. So that is the problem. If you don't talk about your league, your players' value will always go down. So unless you begin to talk about it, and you see, I give kudos to the guys working on the league in Nigeria right now. I think they've done extremely well with the social media. And if we can keep up with the pace and introduce some more ideas, I tell you, we'll get to a time where Nigerian players can actually get like about 10 million euros, 1 million euros, every other time they sign for a foreign club.
So it all starts, from home.
It starts from home, yeah. The charity starts from here. So when I see people that wear Chelsea all over town, of course you can understand that it's also what you guys in the media, you do. I mean, a friend went on his Facebook account and he put up, with so much pride, a foreign club. Listen, I repeat, I have never used my money to buy a foreign jersey. I will never. I'm telling you, never. The only jersey I'll ever use my money to buy is the one of Stationary Stars Football Club of Lagos.
Not Shooting Stars.
I'm not a shooting fan. But again, Austin, there was a time before Stars came back, I used my money to buy Sunshine Stars jersey. Cool. I will never buy a foreign club jersey, never in my life. I tell you.
And then, guys, one lesson from that Onassis talk is, yes, they're saying he's the lowest paid player, but his commitment is top notch. When Onassis wears the Nigerian jersey, he fights. He gives his best.
He gives his best.
That's what I'm after.
That is now left for you. How did Onassis move to Europe? He moved as a youngster. He was already underpriced. So that comes to the point where the government enacts a law that says players should not leave Nigeria until the age of 20. And at that point, a player should not leave Nigeria for less than this. A situation where you have every Nigerian player going to Bangladesh, going to Myanmar.
India, there's a story here actually that says Kalu Uche signs in India.
It's so ludicrous. I'm telling you that Nigerians live for Esperance, and your top league scorer lives for Esperance, and you're saying, oh, he's got a contract, and you're all screaming all over, oh, that's a movement. It's a movement, it's a motion. But for what level? It's the pricing. And once your player goes to Esperance, you've lost some certain amount of money, okay? And then Tunisia tells you, oh, we're giving you like a gateway to Europe. And the truth there about European football is that even the Tunisian league is not that of the same level. But there are times even a club, you can sell a player to a club, and then you have like a part-time ownership for as long as 20 years or 15 years and all that. So when the player moves to Esperance and then from there probably goes to a big team like Frankfurt or Cologne or Werder Bremen, then you're getting something bigger. But now you watch the sequence. We used to have Steven Keshi playing for Anderlecht. We used to have Amokachi Club Brugge, and then you have all the teams, I mean, Ajax, Atletico and all that. But today, see where we're playing. Kasim Pasa, what do you call it? It's unbelievable.